Or Masechet Kiddushin Daf 17a1. We are talking about right here a case where a slave has run away. So we said in the Braita on the bottom of Tetzayin Mubed, the Tanyas we learned in the Braita, Minayin leBoreach shechayav le'ashlim. How do we know that if somebody runs away that he's obligated to come to be mashlim, which means that he has to make up the time? What does that mean? That he has to actually work for the 6 years. So Yachol, I would have thought to say afilu chala even if he gets sick. Meaning, is there a difference between sick leave and the guy just took off and ran away? What does that mean? Even if he became sick during the me'avodato, right? It's going to be okay. However, though, once the boreach, he has to be mashlim, right? So it's going to be a question. If you're going to tell me right now the guy runs away, he has to be mashlim his time. So why is it then that the Tanakama came and Rabbi Meir, they came and they said that you're not going to come, you're not going to give him presents when he's going to go free? So Amar Rav Sheshat says Rav Sheshat, what are we doing? Upagabo Yovel. What happens if you ran away and all of a sudden Yovel comes, right? Which means Yovel came the day after he ran away. Since the Yovel takes him out, it's still considered mimach because imagine it was 1 day later. Velo nikne said, we're not going to give him a knas and not niklo. Give him the present. Remember, Hanakah is like ma'anak l'chagim. In a lot of different places, they always come and they give ma'anak l'chagim. They give presents for the chagim. So, for example, Kolin, right, to this, to that, many things, they give presents to the bonus. Right, the bonus. Basically, it's bonuses. So, which one? But you're on wait. No, so the question is, since right now Yovel was the next day, I would have thought to say he worked until yesterday, and he just ran away yesterday. It was 1 day. So I would have thought to say you have to still give him the bonus. Kamashmalan comes teach you that you don't give it to him. Amar Mor. Right, more comes and he says, right, Yachol afilu chala tamulomar uvashevi'it yetzeh. What does that mean? I would have thought to say that even be'emet, right, if it's going to be, he becomes sick, he has to be mashlim. He says, no, uvashevi'it yetzeh. What does that mean? Afilu chala kol shesh, says the Gemara, even if he's going to come and be sick all the 6 years. Imagine a guy becomes boom and he's sick, but from the beginning until the end, 6 years. You're going to tell me he's nothing? Vatanya, we learned in the Braita, Chala shalosh v'avad shalosh, eno chayav l'ashlim. Chala kot shesh chayav l'ashlim. No. If it's going to be half the time, half he was sick and half he worked, then you're right. He doesn't have to be mashlim. But if it's going to be the entire 6 years, for sure it's going to be mashlim. And so the Gemara man Rosh Hashanah says Rosh Hashanah, be'oseh ma'aseh machat. What does that mean? He comes and he says, we're talking about if a person comes and he's doing ma'aseh machat. What is ma'aseh machat? He's coming and he's able to do something light. So therefore, in such a case, even if he's going to be sick for the 6 years, he's not going to be chayav l'ashlim because at the end of the day, he worked. So you're right. He wasn't doing the hard, bodybuilding work, but he was doing something light. But he was still working. The fact that he's still working doesn't have to be mashlim. Sorry. Thank you. Haguva kasha says the Gemara. That in itself is the question. Amarta, you just told me chala if he be sick, shalosh, vavat shalosh, he doesn't have to be mashlim. And then he told me if arba, so he's going to be chayav mashlim. But then you told me in the Seifa that it has to be only if he's sick all 6 years that he's to be mashlim. Mashma, if it's 4 years, you don't have to be mashlim. So answers the Gemara, this is what it means. Say chala arba, na'asak mi chala shechala kol shesh chayav mashlim. Basically, if a person was sick for the 4 out of the 6 years, it's ki'ilu he was sick during the entire 6 years, and therefore he has to come and he has to be mashlim. Right, the entire avodah. It's basically nowadays also the same thing. Nowadays, a person has vacation and they have sick days. Sick days is not really considered vacation. It's something separate. And the truth is, it all depends. Sometimes they call it sick days. Sometimes they give you a cap on sick days and so on and so forth. But lavdil, that's the concept. The concept is, listen, at the end of the day, a person, it's normal, it's honest. Listen, you're going to give it off. There's no problem. Okay, but it can be that he's going to be the entire time sick. That's something else. Okay.
Disability is called
disability. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's something different. So Tana Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita, Kama manikim lo, how much are we actually going to come and give them as a present? Chamesh slaim mikol min umin. You're going to give them 5 slaim of every single different type of a min. It says mitzonecha from your sheep, migonecha mikvecha from your oil and from your wine. Shehen chamesh esrei slaim, which is basically 15 slaim. Tivrei Rabbi Meir. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. So you're giving him tzon tevua v'yayin, grain, right, wine, and tzon and sheep. Yehuda Omer shloshim, right? You're giving him 30 slaim, not 15 slaim, 30 slaim. Ki shloshim shel eved, like the 30 slaim of an eved, right? Then it says, Right? Rabbi Shimon comes, he says, 50 slayim. Ka 50 shebarachin, like 50 of the arachin. So basically, there's going to be then 3 different shitot: 15 slayim, 30 slayim, or 50 slayim. Now, obviously, it's going to be a big amount. Okay. Amar more says, Chamesh slayim mikol mimavin, you're going to have 5 slayim from every single one. Shehem chamesh esre slayim, which is going to be 15 slayim. Divrei Rabbi Meir, these are Rabbi Meir. So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Meir, minyana tadishurina, what? Rabbi Meir is coming to try to teach you what? He's trying to teach you, how do you call this? How do you call minyana? Like numbers. That's what he's coming to try to teach you. Hakamashmalan comes to teach you mivtzarhu, telo mivtzalei mehai minyana. He says the kpeda is that it's not going to be less than this amount. And if he's going to have less than one, and he gave him more of another one, which means the reason why he said, if he just told you it's 5 of each, so just, I know that 5 of each, and there's 3 types, it's 3 times 5 is 15, right? Which one? Exactly. So what is it? 15. What? No, he says no. Because what happens if instead of giving you 5 of wool, I give you 7 of grain and 3 of wool? Or, it's going to be permitted. Okay? It's going to be permitted.
That's a value.
Right, exactly. Because he basically gave you a value of everything together. That's why he told you 15. He didn't tell you 15 to tell you that 3 times 5 is 15. That we know math. He told it to you just because of the concept that at the end of the day, you just have it in general. Okay? My tama the Rabbi, what's the reasoning of Rabbi? Yalif rekam rekam bechor. Because it says, Lo teshalachenu rekam. Don't leave him empty-handed. Right? So what does that mean? Male halan, just like over there, it's chamesh slayim, it's going to be 5 slayim. Afkan, so to here, it's going to be chamesh slayim, it's going to be 5 slayim. Be'ema chamesh slayim mikulu. He says maybe it's going to be 5 slayim of everything. So says the Gemara, ikativ rekam levasof. If it's going to be written rekam at the end, kede kamarta. So it's like what you said. Hasha dichtiv. Now that it's written rekam bereisha at the beginning, shadi rekam atzon verekam agoren verekam yekev. So then you're throwing it each one. Okay, fine. Then it says v'neilaf rekam rekam meolat riyah. Maybe Be'emet you're going to make a gzera shava, right? Gzera shava is when you're taking the same word in 2 different places and you're putting them together. Remember, Hekesh is when you have two words close to each other, proximity. That's Hekesh, right? But here we're talking gzera shava, meolat riyah, from meolat riyah. Why? Because over there it says velo yira'u fanai rekam, and that's at the end of the pasuk b'yom bechor. So it's talking about that basically lo yira'u fanai rekam. So therefore, since right now you could come and bring a proof from Ulatriya that it's worth 2 ma'ot kesef, so learn from Gzera Shava that it has to be 2 ma'ot of every single one, and not 5 slaim. So here it says that even though the klal is that you do not done a Gzera Shava me'atzmo, right, unless you receive it from your rabbi, the Gemara is asking, why can't you do that? Why didn't they have this masoret, right? And therefore it's going to be different. Okay? Fine. So says the Gemara, the pasuk says, "Asher berachecha Hashem lokecha." When it says "Asher berachecha Hashem lokecha," the Torah is saying that which Hashem gave you a blessing, you should make the gzera shava that it has to be a lot, not a little bit. And you don't be cheap. Some people, a worker, they want to be cheap. The guy just worked for you. You know how much the guy worked for you? Give it to him big.
He's a slave for you.
Exactly. They became your slave. It's incredible. People come, right, and they don't have the hakarat tov. I remember somebody came to me, he was like mamash almost crying. He said, Rabbi, I was working like a dog for I don't know how many years. And the guy go rid of him like, it's like nothing. The guy worked for you. He killed himself for you. Nothing, you don't give anything. But that's what the Torah is teaching us. Now the problem is, again, it's the stinginess, it's the Yetzer Hara, the guy, give it to him. Yeah, and that's what he says. Yeah, Hashem beracha, Hashem lokecha. Give it to him with beracha. Don't just come and be cheap. Yeah? Somebody works overtime, pay them well. Yeah? Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Says Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah? Yeah? He says like this. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. He says, Shloshim, Shloshim Eved. What does that mean? He comes and he says that Shloshim, you're going to come and you're going to pay, right? That's what he says over here. Shloshim Slaim, Shloshim Slaim Eved. My time at Rabbi Yehuda, what's the reasoning of Rabbi Yehuda? Yalif netina me'eved. You're going to learn netina me'eved. What does that mean? It says Asher beracha shelo titen lo, and it says kesef shloshim yiten ladonav. So 10. Male halan, just like over there shloshim, it's going to be shloshim shkalim, right? Slaim. So to here it's going to be shloshim slaim. So says the Gemara, v'neila. Why don't we learn netina merachim? Male halan 50, makra 50. Why don't we learn netina from right, from Erechin, which means just like over there, it's going to be 50 slaim. So 2 years, it's going to be 50 slaim. So the Gemara answers, Chada, number one, tafasta merubeh, lo tafasta. Tafasta muat, tafasta. What does that mean? Don't jump for big numbers, right? Start at low. Understand? Somebody comes to you, right? And they want you to give them a price. And you come and you start at a crazy price. You're not going to get it. Why? If you start lower, it could be that they'll get it. Even if it was a little bit higher than you grabbed a little bit. If you're trying to get it, doesn't work. Yeah, that's the way it is. And that's it with everything in life, by the way. Not only just in, in everything in life. You got it. Okay? So says the Gemara, and furthermore, it's better to learn an eved from an eved, right? Which is basically the ha'anaka of an eved ivri from the eved kanani, and not just some from erechin. That's nothing to do with avadim. Erechin is the value of yourself. How much value do you have to put for a human being? That has nothing to do with a slave. But then there's the slave, which is an eved kanani, and then there's the slave of eved ivri. So there I'm putting them both together, right? That I could compare them. Because they're both slaves. Fine, one's a Jew and one's not a Jew, but they're both slaves. Okay? And the last shita, the Shimon says, Chamishim ka-chamishim, it's going to be 5 slaim, just like the 50 slaim, just like the 50 slaim of Erechin. What's the reasoning of Rabbi Shimon? Gaman etina Erechin. He does learn a gzat shava. Etina from Erechin. Mala halan chamishim, just like over there is chamishim. So 2 years is going to be chamishim. So says the Gemara, Ve'imim pachosh Erechin. Why don't you just say it's the lowest value of Erechin, right? Which is basically going to be even 3 slaim, right? Like the lowest amount, which is, because remember, for a man, it's a higher amount than a woman. For a child, it's lower amount than men, right? Than like adults, so like for each one according to their value. So it says, it's written Asher Beracha Hashem Elokecha. Okay, fine. Why don't we learn Gzera Shava Netina from an Eved Kanani? Just like over there, it's going to be 30 slaim. So 2 years it's going to be 30 slaim. It says Chada tafasta merubeh lo tafasta ve'od Eved me'eved aved le'menfel. It's better to learn Eved from Eved than to come and start learning from something else. Rabbi Shimon comes and he says Micha Gaman, which means Rabbi Shimon comes and he's Doresh Gzera Shava Micha to do with Erechin V'machu Merkecha and V'chiamuch Achicha, which means that's how he's coming and he's learning the Netina. Right? He's just bringing it from a different reason of Micha and not from Netina. Bishma Rabbi Meir, I understand Rabbi Meir in the Tzon Goren V'Yekev. That's why it's written Tzon Goren V'Yekev, which means you have to give him 5 slaim kaful shalosh. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, right? How do you get that 30 slaim or 50 slaim, 50 shekel? How do you get that exactly? It says Tzon Goren V'Yekev Elmaleh, because basically what? How do you divide that into 3? Meaning 15, you could divide by 3. You've got 1/3 tzon, 1/3 grain, 1/3 wine. But how do you divide 50 into 3? Or how do you divide 30 into 3? You can't divide it, but right? Okay, so
you can.
No, 30 you can.
Yeah, 50 you can.
Yeah.
So
right? So he comes and he says, how do we know that you're not going to give him for these? How do we know you could give him for anything? Whatever the bracha that Hashem gives you. You can. So why did the Torah say Tzon Goren V'Yekev? No, Malecha to come and tell you, Matzon Goren V'Yekev Yuchadim Shishnam B'Chol Bracha. There's a bracha in these things, right? Why? Because it multiplies. Whether it's Tzon, whether it's Tzua, Yain, all these things. Af Kol Shishnam B'Chol Bracha Yatzuk Safim. That comes to do with to exclude Safim. That it is not mitrabim. These are the words of Rishimon. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says no. Yatzuk Pradot. It comes to exclude a pered. A pered do not multiply, they do not procreate. So therefore, because of that, you cannot come and give him a peret. Rabbi Shimon, and according to Rabbi Shimon, pradot meshabchan megufay. No, they do appreciate in what? In value, their bodies. He says ksafim and he says no, it's the money, right, that is doing everything at the end of the day. Okay, so therefore that's why he says that it is part of the bracha, and therefore we're not going to exclude, but not like pradot. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, we just said that there's 3 different types of species. Tzon Goren V'Yekev. Utzricha, and you need all 3. If it was only going to be written the sheep, I would have thought say only animals, yes, gidule karka, no, but not anything else which is gidule karka, which goes from the ground, no. Katav Rachmana Goren, that's why he wrote us Goren. Goren means that it grows from the ground. Katav Goren, if it was only written that about the Goren which is growing from the ground, Havamina gidule karka in, I would have thought say anything that grows from the ground, yes. No, but animals not. So that's why it's written tzon. Yekev lamali. So why do we need now yekev? Yekev is the wine, right? Yudzayin bet 17b, right? Lemor, according to Shitat Rabbi Shimon, the mutik safim to exclude money, that you don't give him money. Lemor, and according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, mutik pradot, you can't give him a pered. A pered is an animal that does not procreate. Okay, fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned the Braita, second line on Yudzayin bet 17b, second line. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned the Braita. Hashem beracha, Hashem lokecha, which Kadosh Baruch Hu give you beracha. Yachol, I would have thought to say need barech bait biglalo manikim lo. I would have thought to say only if he brought the bracha with him, do you give him a present? Lo ni barech bait biglalo. And if you did not get the bracha from him, em manikim lo, you're not going to give it to him. Tamulomar, how do you know? He says anek tani mikom makom. No matter what, you have to give it to him. In kerim, so what does it mean to say sheberacha? Shakol ofia bracha telno, which means that if the bait was biglalo harbe, give him more. Meaning sometimes it happens. You have a company. Company is doing normal. You brought in an employee, and all of a sudden you feel that the bracha came in, and you pay attention. You say, you know what? Ever since I brought the guy, boom, so he brought the bracha. Yeah, it's true. But that's like every bracha. Every bracha is like that. Every bracha is that once they take it away from you, then all of a sudden you wake up and you smell the coffee, right? But the problem is you have to smell the coffee beforehand. Understand? So therefore you have to actually come. 100%. You have to come and you have to realize that. So hanek tanik lo. Right? What does it mean anek tanik lo? It means you have to give it to him. Right? You have to actually give him. Fine. So he comes and he says, he brought you more bracha. Give him a bigger present. According to the bracha.
But they're not going to get greedy. Oh, I'm doing all this. Give me more. No?
Again. So, says the Gemara, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah comes and he says, Devarim kichtavan. What does that mean? Kipshutam. Nidbarech by biglalo, if the bracha came to the house, manikim lo, you give him the present. Lo nidbarech by biglalo, if it does not come the bracha to the house, you don't give it to him. In Ken, so what does it mean anek tanik? The Torah many times will speak like human beings. Many times people come, they say a double language, double expression. They're not saying anything different. It's just that's the way that people speak. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Eved ivri oved et ben. Right? What does that mean? An eved ivri, right? After mitat adon, he still has to come and oved et ben until the end of the 6 years of the yovel. En oved et but not the daughter. Ama ivriya en oved lot ben nobody. Right? That means she goes free with mitat adon. So basically, you just learned from here. Yes, so we learned that yesterday. So one more time. Eved ivri serves the ben, the son, but not the daughter. The ama ivriya, master dies, Gamarnu. She goes out.
She continues.
Yeah, always, leolam. Nirtzah, somebody that has the ritzuah, which means that he had the nirtzah of the ozen. Nimkal oved kochavim is going to be sold to nobody. He doesn't serve anybody. Amar Mor says, Eved ivri oved to the ben oved to the bat. How do you know that? How do you know that an Eved ivri will work for the son and not for the daughter? Right? The Tanu Rabbanan is learned to the Braita. Vavadecha sheshanim lecha. It says vavadecha lecha. They learn from the pasuk. For you and not to your yoresh. Atam lo chav lo yoresh o eno ela lo lechav lo leben. As Keshu when it says sheshanim yavod, hare leben amur. It already says the ben. Hamani mekayem vavadecha sheshanim. So what am I going to be oved? What am I going to be mekayem with 6 years? Lecha velo yoresh. For you and not for a yoresh. So says the Gemara, Ma ra'ita lerabot et ben u'notzi et ha'ach. So what are you coming and you're coming and saying, what are you coming to say that I'm going to be merabet a ben? Why do I take out the brother? Maybe it's the brother also. So it says, Marbe ani et ben, I'm going to add the ben, sheken kam tachat aviv liyada. The son comes instead of the father in order to do yud, which is to designate her to get married to her. Now, when you take an amay ivriya, it's either you get married to her or the son gets married to her. Or for which means that the father consecrated and then the son comes and he redeems it, he's going to actually come and he's going to take it. I think it's very hot, so that's why he's going to sleep. We should turn it on. Adrabah, says the Gemara, yeah. So 1 second, he says, I think that you're going to include the brother, because the brother does ibum. The son doesn't do ibum, the brother does ibum. So says the Gemara, klum yeshibum ela bimkom shem ben. He says, there's no such thing as ibum if there's no child. That's why. There's no ibum. Meaning, don't bring me a proof from the brother, because the brother is only there, right, if you don't have something else. Okay? Fine. So says the Gemara, so the reasoning is because I have this question, halav hachi, if not, achadif, the brother is going to be better. Typically, why don't I just say the hachatarte, the hachachada? Over here, I'm going to have two dinim, right? That's basically yud and ste'achuzah, the designation of the amay vriya and ste'achuzah. And here you only have yibum, which is one. 2 against 1. Who wins? 2. So says the Gemara, ste'achuzah nami. So to ste'achuzah, he learns it from this. So therefore, you can't come and you can't even ask the question because at the end of the day, it doesn't exist. So therefore, right, in such a case, you cannot compare, right, both cases. Fine. Amay vriya. So we just said that in amay vriya does not serve not the son and not the daughter. So the amay vriya goes completely scot-free. I don't know these words. Huh? He comes and he says, yeah, he says, right, Amarabi Peda says Rabbi Pada, the pasuk says, Vafla matachat hasaken, hikisha, hekesh, hikisha katuv le'ever lenirtza. Just like the nirtza in Ovel lo ben lo bat. Just like the nirtza doesn't serve, right, not the ben and not the bat. So he says that for my vriya and Ovel lo, so to my vriya is the same thing. So ask the Gemara, Vafla matachat hasaken lach yudat. I thought what that's what it means. I thought that the matachat hasaken is that's what it's coming to teach you to be makish to a nirtza. We need it for that which we learned in the Braita. What does it mean la'anik? Do you say that it's going to be the present, or is it to put the ritzia? When you said you remember we learned this. When you come and you say it already comes and it's actually going to teach us by this halacha that if the eved is going to come and going to say, right, I don't want, right, I want to stay here. So only an eved could say that, not an evriya, right? Hamani to give the presents as well. Okay, so if so, the pasuk says v'afla ken. What is ta'aseken? Shmamina tarte. We learn two different halachot. La'kish, right? Right, to make a kesh, right, to make a kesh of the man to the nitza, to come and to teach you. Right, which is basically going to make a case of what? The amat nirtza. Right, a nirtza. Okay, so basically we're making a cash, two different halachot. Number one, right, that we're going to make a cash amat to the nirtza, so therefore she doesn't serve the ben. Number two, that you have to give her also the presents when she's going to leave you as well. Remember that we just said that whether it's going to be somebody that was sold to a goy or a nirtza, they do not serve not the son and not the daughter. Nirtza dichtiv ratzad v'avado leolam. Yes, v'avado to him, v'lo letabem v'lo bat. In Kal v'kochvim minayin Amar Chizkiah says, Amar Kal, the pasuk says v'chishavim koneo. You're going to come and you're going to make an evaluation with the koneo, the one that bought you, and not the children, your shek koneo. Okay, fine. Next, Amar Rava. Rava comes and he says, Dvar Torah ove kochvim yerushet aviv. Do you know the mina Torah? A goy inherits his father. Mina Torah. Which means that somebody miklal that he has yoshim. What do you mean he has yoshim? Right? Miklal the yoshim means that he inherits. So ger et but a ger, for him to come and to inherit his father, right? Remember, he's a ger already. He converted. But to inherit his father, the goy, it's only going to be midivrei sofrim, not divrei Torah, divrei sofrim. The Tanam was going to the Mishnah. Ger ve'ovei kochavim shashu aviyem ovei kochavim. A ger and an ovei kochavim, they're going to inherit their father. Ger yachol lomar lovet kochavim. The ger, he could come and tell the goy, tola ta ovei kochavim. You take the ovei kochavim, bani out, and I'll take the money. Meaning, imagine right now you've got the two different brothers. One of them is still a goy, one of them is a Jew because he converted. He comes, he tells his brother, "You take the ovei kochavim, I take the money." Sounds like a good deal. Right? He comes and he says, "Right, tola ta yain nesech. You take yain nesech, I'll take fruits." Again, once they come to the shoot again, asur is going to become asur to change it with money and fruits. The Isa the Navi, you're going to tell me right now, Doraita, even if it didn't come to the shoot, also it's going to be the same halacha. Right? Why? Because he's taking the opposite of the meaning. He was supposed to get avodah kochavim. And instead of taking that, what happened? He's coming and he's taking the chlef, the chlefah, the substitute. So it's going to become a problem. Ella, but rather it's a din drabanan. The rabbis made a gezerah, shemi yachzor lesuro. Maybe he's going to turn back to become a goy just in order to get a Yerusha. Imagine, his father is a wealthy billionaire, right? He converted to Judaism. If you're going to tell him now that he doesn't inherit, he's going to become a goy again in order that he could inherit. So because I'm in the Rabbanan, we said, no, you still inherit. You still inherit. Yeah? Fine. We also learned it in the Braita. When are these words? When they have a Yerusha, which means that the Nochri is coming, the Ger and the Nochri are coming from the properties of the father and they come to divide it. But if they come and they do things together, right, which means that they buy things together, so then it's going to be a asur for him to take anything. Because at the end of the day, it's a problem now, because then he became a shutaf with it. Okay? Oved kochavim et ger, then Rava comes and he says, Yerushat oved kochavim et ger, ger et ger, eno lo divrei Torah v'no divrei sofrim. It's not going to be not divrei Torah v'no divrei sofrim. Okay, the Talmud we learned in our Mishnah. Lava ma'ot min hager shenitgairu banav imo. What happens right now if you borrow money from a ger that the children did giyur with him, and then the malve died? Lo yachzir levanav. He doesn't have to give it back to the children. They're not going to be happy with him. Why? Because basically he does not have children. That means the children are not going to come and inherit him, even the Rabbanan. So ask the Gemara, I thought that you still learned the opposite. Ruach Chamim is no chaimenu. So he comes and he says, Lakash, asked a question. Kan sheorato veleidato shelo b'kedusha. Here we're talking about orato right shelo b'kedusha. Vekan sheorato shelo b'kedusha veleidato b'kedusha. There's a difference whether you were born Jewish or not born Jewish. Sometimes it happens, right, that the first case was orato veleidato, meaning the mother was a goya when she became pregnant and when she gave birth. And then they did giyur afterwards. So that's called orato veleidato shelo b'kedusha. Wasn't in holiness. There's another case. What happens if she became pregnant and she was a goya, and then she converted, and she did mikveh when she's pregnant, and then he's born? That's called orato shelo b'kedusha, leidato b'kedusha. In such a case, he said it's better to give it back, because even though mikaradin he doesn't inherit him, kilu it's his child. Right? Because at the end of the day, since when the child was born, everybody was already Jewish, so therefore, even though he's a Jew automatically, because when the mother went into mikveh, it works for him as well. So therefore, even though technically speaking, she conceived when she was a goya, but still the rabbis say, give it to him. Why? They don't want to, understand that kilu, they say, no, give it to him kilu, that he's bemet Jewish from the beginning.